Hello, and welcome to the Ultimate Strategy Podcast, your go-to podcast for everything strategy. Each week, we'll share a new episode covering a wide range of topics designed to help your business grow smarter by making strategy approachable and actionable. I'm Devina, Strategy Execution Director at Cascade.
And I'm Laura, Head of Strategy Execution. Hello and welcome. We're so excited to have you with us today. This is just the beginning, so stay tuned for weekly episodes. Before we dive in, let me thank today's sponsor, Cascade. They are the #1 strategy execution platform that helps turn visions into reality by working as the strategic brain of your organization. Thousands of businesses around the world use Cascade to plan, execute, and track their strategies in one central place, improving efficiency and speeding up decision-making. By successfully executing their strategies, our customers are making a huge difference around the world, from deploying life-saving vaccines to engineering the fastest Formula One car. If you want to get your team moving towards your vision in one central platform, then check us out at our website, www.cascade.app. Now, let's kick off. Today, we have a super exciting topic, Devina, that I'm excited to talk about. We want to cover how to be the next trailblazer. Trailblazers are the people we look up to as the game changers, the disruptors, the visionaries. But how do you go from following the pack to leading it? Today, we're going to break down the strategies that can turn you into a trailblazer in your industry, covering everything from the mindset shifts to practical steps you can start taking from today. Devina, why don't you kick us off with what it means to be a trailblazer in business today?
Absolutely. And as Laura said, we are super excited to be talking about this topic. It's one of my favorite things to be talking about with businesses. Before we jump into the how, let's define what it actually means to be a trailblazer in the business world. Now, a trailblazer isn't just successful. They're someone or a business that sets trends, creates new paths, and also challenges the way things are done. Think about leaders like Elon Musk with Tesla, Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx, Steve Jobs with Apple. These people didn't just compete within their industries, they completely reshaped them. So to me, a business trailblazer is someone who isn't just content with the status quo. They want to see opportunities where others potentially see obstacles, and they're also willing to take the risks to try something new. It's all about pioneering new approaches and challenging the norms, but also inspiring others to think bigger in the industry. You can bring fresh ideas and also bold solutions to the table, even if they might seem a little bit crazy at the time. But here's a real question, right? How can you position yourself to be that kind of leader in your own business or your industry? So I think we could start by taking a look at some critical mindsets that trailblazers often have in common. So maybe, Laura, you want to kick us off with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, you kind of covered it a little bit. Trailblazers really think differently. They're not just responding to the market. They're almost, predicting what the consumer might want before the consumer actually knows it themselves. And I think there's 3 big key mindsets that I think set them apart. The first one is really thinking long-term and having that long-term vision in mind over just a short-term win. The sales this month. It's really about, not being obsessive over the immediate short-term gains. They're thinking years ahead, sometimes even decades. They're thinking, what do I want this product or this service to stand for in a decade or 2 decades from now? What do I want people to be talking about when they think of my brand? And I think this helps them to use or make decisions that might seem risky or unusual in the short term, but they're actually helping them work towards that bigger goal. So think about, some of the organizations you mentioned a moment ago, the Teslas, the Apples, we saw the iPod. Obviously, the iPod was huge. I wish it actually would make a comeback. Example. But yeah, now you've got the iPod built into a phone.
Right.
They've kept up with the demand of other tech that could serve a different kind of iPod. So they're not just thinking about that, sale in the short term. I think the second piece for me would be that growth mindset and resilience. So the path of a trailblazer is often very challenging. There's often big failures along the way, product launches that don't actually really make it to market, or they, fail instantly. But that's okay. Right. Like that setback or that failure is going to help propel them forward into the future. And that's what they see as that opportunity for growth. So not getting discouraged easily and really, being resilient to either customer feedback or products that flop. It's about constantly adapting and evolving as not just as a business, but also your employees' mindset as well. So it's really important that you are not considering being a trailblazer just as a leadership team, but also encouraging that failure and learning from setbacks as a wide organization as well. I think the third piece for me, and is one of my favorite mindsets, is about customer centricity. So being innovative, but with the customer in mind. Trailblazers really stay deeply in touch with their customers' needs and pain points. Of course, keeping in mind that what the customer always wants isn't necessarily what they need. And so you do have to innovate and listen to their pain points and maybe deliver them something even better than they thought. So identifying those unaddressed needs before anybody else, before the competition, before the consumer even realizes. And instead of asking, what can we sell next? You're asking, how do we solve our customers' biggest problems? And I think to wrap up on this point, many of today's top trailblazers didn't just launch products. They solved real big pressing needs in their industries for their customers. And that mindset of constant improvement and empathy is really foundational for anyone looking to make that transformative impact. I think next, I would really love to talk about the key strategies for becoming a trailblazer, because it's not easy. And I think, getting that mindset right is, part of these strategies, or part of that change, if you like. And that can take obviously a long time to do. But what would you say is that first thing that people can leave today's session with, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think hot off your points there, it's about everybody finding their own unique angle. To stand out, you need to bring something unique to the table. And if you look at the current landscape in your industry and the space that you play within, how can you identify gaps? What is missing? What might customers in your space be complaining about that no one is solving effectively? Or even what are futuristic problems that could come about that you can already begin to solve for? I think trailblazers really find those gaps and then actively fill them. A great example that I like to refer to for this is Dollar Shave Club. So they disrupted a $1 billion industry that was dominated by the likes of Gillette, right? Who also own the Venus brand. And the founders of Dollar Shave Club really saw an opportunity to address the customer frustrations around crazy high prices for razors and also inconvenient purchasing experiences. It wasn't typically available online, as an example. And it was also something that you had to continuously buy again. But they didn't just join the market, they redefined it. They came about with their subscription model, their at-home delivery service, and they also came in with complementary products with what they were doing too. So they found a unique angle in an industry that had been dormant for a long, long time, and they've done incredibly well. So I think it's all about finding your unique perspective and your unique lens with your business.
I think as well, and I'm sure the Dollar Shave Club also really embraced that technology and innovation to do that. I think you kind of reminded me of a couple of brands that I switched to recently where they are real brands that are disrupting the market. They are early adopters of emerging technologies. They stay informed about trends. They're really leaning into obviously the social media side of things and what people are saying. They want to impact their industry, whether that's through AI or blockchain or green technology. They're experimenting with new technologies all the time, and they have that significant advantage. Two brands that I recently started using. One was Wild, which is like a natural deodorant. I'd never thought to have deodorant on a subscription basis, to be honest. But one thing that really drew me in is my first purchase. I could, buy the case, but I could personalize it with my name and the colors. And that's cute. It's
Make
cute.
it fun.
People love those things. Make it fun. Yeah. So, that personalization, I've also seen that really successfully in the likes of like Nestle, and you can buy Toblerone now with your name. I know Coca-Cola did that on the cans as well. People love personalization. Anything where you can use that technology to sort of give a bit of an advantage with your product. And then the other product that I invested in was a coffee subscription, but it's a coffee subscription that uses small farms or small coffee growers And so you're getting a different batch each time. But again, they use technology to make sure that subscription is sort of really in tune with how frequently you're investing in it and suggesting, maybe you want to send it a bit earlier, that kind of thing. So it's just easy. I like things that are easy. I don't want to have to think about when I'm going to run out of coffee or run out of deodorant. So I think those things, are obviously, if you can embrace that in the market or the industry you operate in, can be really powerful. And I know we've used the example in the past, but I think it's such a great one. Is like when Netflix pivoted to streaming, it was still a DVD rental service. They could have collapsed, but really they leaned into technology and saw the consumer preferences, where they were heading, and they invested heavily in streaming technology before the rest of the industry caught on. And I think that single decision has really redefined not only their company, but the entire entertainment industry. I was actually talking, like recently I said, it's actually incredibly frustrating. Like, I think we have something like, in the UK, between 8 and 10 subscription companies that you can sign up to. And, if you want to watch the latest show, you have to have Apple TV or, BBC iPlayer or whatever it might be.
Yeah, Disney Plus,
Hulu.
right.
There's so many of them. And it's kind of got a bit too frustrating, but obviously it's made Netflix who they are today.
Yeah,
What about like partnerships, strategic partnerships? I feel like that's a big one.
Yeah, I love this one because I think with trailblazing, there's also something you can do to be different, right? And don't go it alone. A lot of the trailblazers that you might see leverage partnerships to expand their reach and impact. Maybe you could identify a potential collaborator who could complement your strengths, but also share your vision. And it might be other businesses, it could be thought leaders, it could be influencers. An example that I refer to a lot is the partnership between Apple and Nike on their fitness tracking with their Apple Watch. They have wearable tech, specific Nike branded straps. They also have partnered with the like of Hermes to create a bit more of a premium Apple Watch experience as well. And by both of these brands combining their expertise and also their target market, they're able to create products that appeal to a much more broader audience and also arguably revolutionize fitness tech as an industry, right? And I think when you think about trailblazing as a concept, maybe it's, this a coffee brand, and maybe it's a subscription partnership on a basis of working with an artist to design the pods, or maybe it's Wild Deodorant doing something incredible with a scent that's well known by consumers. There's all kinds of opportunities here for doing something different, and that can help you stand out, but also pave the way within your category.
I think that's what helps them stay fresh as well. I think the biggest or the most successful trailblazers are the ones that stay agile and are willing to pivot. Maybe it's going from, sort of wearable technology to, a pair of shoes or clothing or something like that. And I think being adaptable and knowing that markets change, customer needs evolve. In fact, they're changing faster than we can even keep up at the moment with the how much consumers use technology to make decisions. And so sometimes that path needs to shift. I think you have to know that you can't be wedded to one idea forever and keep going after it. Of course, you need that long-term vision to anchor you, but don't be afraid to be flexible and willing to pivot. That can be the difference between you stagnating and being a true innovator. A great example is, if we bring it back to tech, Slack, the communication tool, is a great example. They originally actually set out to build a gaming platform, but when that didn't take off, they pivoted the focus onto internal comms. I don't know where you would be without Slack, but it's well embedded now in our teams and in most tech businesses or other businesses as well. It's one of the most widely used collaboration tools. So, that pivot really worked out for them. And I think being able to stay agile, will be willing to slightly pivot from, solve a big problem that we had, which was how do we get great internal comms. So I think they're really good sort of tips for, I'm thinking, if I was listening to this and I worked in an organization today, it doesn't matter which level of the organization I'm on, I feel like that, you could have ideas booming of how you could really innovate in your own organization and start driving towards that trailblazer.
And embrace it. Don't be afraid, as you said, right? It's okay to scrap things. and go back to the drawing board and go again. You mentioned failure as well. I always think of the Amazon Fire phone that comes to mind that a lot of people don't actually know about. They had an entire division dedicated towards creating a smartphone that flopped big time. They were just a bit too late, hot off the tracks of the likes of Apple and Google and so forth. But they scrapped it. They scrapped the entire division and product and decided to focus on other things like the Fire tablet, the Kindle, which has seen great success. And they weren't afraid to let that project go, which I think is something that we really need to incorporate into the way that we think. And I guess, tailgating from this, you've got to understand the power of storytelling in what you do. You've got to be able to communicate your vision when you trailblaze. How do you resonate with people, whether it's your customers or other businesses, other brands? How do you create a following and true deep purpose for what you do? Your story isn't just about what you're building, it's about why it matters. And a brand that I think does this really well is Patagonia, the outdoor clothing brand. Now, their commitment to the environment and sustainability isn't just an afterthought, right? It's woven into their brand story, every piece of their content, their marketing, their comms. You feel it intrinsically. And this authenticity in their brand story has turned customers into loyal advocates. And they've created a new standard for outdoor apparel. And it actually can convert a lot of customers that maybe previously never even thought about the sustainable angle of their clothes, but it can make them think in that way. And I think brands who really change the face of the industry and change the way the customer thinks, that's true trailblazing.
I love that. And I think if I was to close sort of today's discussion, I think, it's definitely a journey to becoming a trailblazer. It's not a destination. It's about constantly evolving. It's about being resilient. All of the people at your organization being resilient. It's about having that commitment to create something remarkable, really differentiate yourself in the market, but being ready to pivot and change if you need to, taking risks as well. I think if you're ready to become that next trailblazer, or you really want your organization to be a trailblazer, it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about finding ways to make a meaningful impact. It's about taking those bold risks, bring your vision to life. I think that's the essence of today's conversation, is bring that vision to life and allow your people to be part of that. Focus on what sets you apart, stay adaptable, and keep the customer at the heart of the innovation. I think, that's the big takeaway for me, is to always have the customer at the heart of everything that you do. And obviously keep in mind what problems you're solving for them, essentially. But I think that wraps up today's topic on becoming a trailblazer. Hopefully you found it insightful, and hopefully that's what you want to become at your organization, and it helps you on your journey to better strategy execution.
And make sure to tune in next week when we'll be talking about another exciting topic. It's going to be a great episode, just like today's, filled with a bunch of practical tips that you don't want to miss.
And in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the Ultimate Strategy Podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. Check out the links to our website that we mentioned at the beginning, and a huge thank you again to our sponsor, Cascade, for making this podcast possible.
Thank you for listening, and remember that great strategies are only as good as their execution.
So take action, make it happen, and see the results. See you in the next episode for your weekly dose of strategy.